All right, Mike, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rico. Always a pleasure.
How you doing?
Very good, Yeah.
Quick update for the audience. Where are you? You're still in China, right?
Still in China. Yeah, I'm in the northeast Dongbei, as they say, and my wife's hometown of Shenyang,
Hmm.
past Beijing, up kind of if China looks like a chicken if you look at it. So I'm in the head, kind of in the towards the mouth of the chicken.
I notice when I walk outside, I hope this pays off. One day I chose it, one day, someday I hope it. Went in the big labels and saw plaques on walls, but I didn't post it. Didn't wanna gas or boast it, that's not one of the things I'm made of. But one day will it pay off? Mum says I got to do music, and dad says to not quit my day job. It's a hard one still, it's not fake, the bars are real. Sometimes I can rely on people's advice, I can't rely on pills. I notice now, things keep falling down. When they fall, I still build them up. Hard when you don't know how. Something's changed, yeah, you know the deal. At the end of the day, I'm over that one still. Over that one. When I play shows, I'm sober at none. Not from London, no the accent. Not just talking loads of action. Is this music or is it acting? One step forward, then go backwards. Think it makes me over anxious. Things can change, it's known to happen. I feel like I don't need people's help. And then when I think about it, I'm proud I could have been someone else.
How do you compare living in Shenyang to Shenzhen?
I mean, I don't know what tier city this would be called, two probably. There's some nice places. I mean, I'm also not really looking for the expat, I'm not looking for the international foreigner scene anyway, because I'm married with kids, so my life is a lot different than before. But I think even though there's definitely less expats, I think that I could find them, but it's very much more local. It's there's Korea. It's near North Korea by a few hours. So I haven't gone to North Korea yet. I don't know if they plan to let my American butt in there, but it's more Korean food. It's a little bit more like every city, every block looks the same. Like it's kind
Yeah,
of like copy pasted everywhere. It's
it's
grid.
kind of it's kind of like most Chinese cities.
Yeah, I
Besides,
guess it's like most
okay,
Chinese
like
cities. I
most Chinese
guess
cities
true.
before they started to try to create unique skylines and stuff like that. It was just how do we just continue to create these grids? Um,
Yeah.
I guess one of the questions that people would probably have immediately is, obviously COVID, we're still in it. I think in the US, it's coming, people are coming outside a little bit more, but you hear stories about China and, sort of the treatment of foreigners and just the general climate in China. What, what can you say in terms of how you feel about being there right now and in comparison to the past 8, 10 years, right?
I mean, there's different waves or stages. When
Yep.
I first came to China, late '07 or more like '08, but I was still kind of rare. It was still kind of I don't want to sound bad, valuable more. I guess I don't want to like my knowledge. Like there was no Chinese. I mean, there was some Chinese eBay sellers. I mean, even Amazon wasn't big then, but my internet marketing and eBay experiences were more rare to Chinese
Mm.
people, and um, they wanted to learn a lot from me. Like I would feel like they were more interested to learn from foreigners in business and e-commerce and marketing. Over the years, obviously, Chinese sellers have done really well. Over a lot of my old previous team members are massive sellers on Amazon and various platforms. So they're a lot of times feeling like they know enough already. Like they could maybe teach foreigners now how to sell on Amazon. um, in the industry, and lately now, I could talk about it more later. I've been really working to broker more Amazon acquisitions in China and Asia. That's a huge thing that's happening, is consolidation in the Amazon space. But so that's the professional side. personally, like obviously I'm also in a second tier city, not many foreigners anyway. So of course I still get the looks here. But I do feel there's less welcomeness to
Yeah.
foreigners. I,
Yeah.
it's hard to pinpoint, but it's more. And I have kids. I think well, I don't know. Probably viewers don't know, but I have two children. I have a Chinese wife. They're mixed kids, and I even brought me to tears a little bit. Like my son, he's a very. My daughter, it's more like a cat, like a. Maybe women are like cats and men are like dogs.
Mhm.
He's more like he doesn't have that like barrier of like, I don't want to say not intelligent, but he'll just run up to a kid and want to play,
Yeah.
and he looks also a little bit more light skinned or Western or not Chinese. So some of the kids don't treat him,
The
he
same.
says they don't want to play with him.
Mm.
And it'll be me. I'll take, I'm like the token foreigner or whatever in this playground, and then one time it was really bad, like he was really really crying hard, and uh that was a tough one to deal with, because what do you tell him? Mm,
How old is your son right now?
he just turned 7 in May of
Do
2021.
you think, because I guess at 7 years old, like, I mean, they're still really really little kids, but they're smart enough to understand sort of stuff
They
that their
The
parents tell
kids think
them.
he's
And
Thai. The kid,
yeah.
I don't know if he thinks he's Thai,
Yeah.
but he's like, they don't want to play with me because I'm from Thailand.
Yeah, so I was gonna say they're smart enough
And
to understand like this person looks a little bit different from us, and then also to understand like somebody that sounds a little bit different. And then the third thing is what their parents say about foreigners,
yeah,
right? So that's what I was
yeah,
asking. I was like, if you're like 3 years old, I don't think if your parents are saying bad things about foreigners, you're not really gonna register that. But like, I think if you're 6, 7, you might start to take it in. So I was curious about that. I was like, do you think part of it is just like what the parents are saying about foreigners to the kids?
yeah. I mean, I have a feeling, my Chinese unfortunately still isn't as good as I want it to be, but I'll overhear, sometimes you'll hear them talking about like why go ran, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't know them. They don't know, they're not knowing I'm even there, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely like a lot of this propaganda. I don't want, with COVID or governments, even before COVID, there was trade war, there was Hong Kong up unrest. There's been a lot of tension between the West and the East in the last few years, and it's just not made it more welcoming and open. And unfortunately, I'm not just going to say it on China side. I think the US or international side, it's going both ways. I don't want to just be purely saying it's China. I think also US media is also a little, there's a lot of hate on the US side to Chinese in America and stuff too. So it's going both ways. I want to make sure I do say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, I mean, obviously, people blame China as a whole for the virus, and they forget that it's like, there's over 1 billion people there. Like, it's not, a lot of the people, most of the people are pretty innocent when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting to see how people change. But at the same time, it's like you can't separate the two countries. Like, they're intertwined pretty much forever. It's like, you're still gonna have to buy products from China. China still needs Americans to buy products from them. You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting sort of love hate marriage.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gonna,
Uh,
yeah, it's always, but it's definitely more tense for sure, and
yeah.
it's nerve wracking, man. You
I
never
mean,
really know.
when I was there, I just felt like, just some of the small changes they were making to, like, I remember was it the last time I went in? Yeah. So the last time was like, last time I flew into China was probably November 2000, no, December 2019. And I was coming from the Philippines, and I flew in, and I just left like 2 weeks before or a week before. And when I flew in, immigration had completely changed. Like, it was like, they had some other scans that you had to do. And then when you went up to the window, they were just asking questions that they never used to ask before. And it wasn't like they were just asking randomly. They were asking every single foreigner to provide more information about this and more information about that. And I was like, wait, this changed in the last 7 days. Like, what's going on? It just always felt like slowly but surely trying to squeeze people, out. And then I guess right now, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they don't want people out. You can say because of COVID, but I think they're using COVID as a way to restrict certain people from coming into the country. Um, so, for example, I was just talking to one of my business friends, and he just managed to get a business visa somehow, and he basically had to go and like do multiple interviews at the embassy in the U.S. and state his case as to why he he needed to go to China, and then he had to get I mean, the invitation letter from the factory that's always been standard or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, he also had to get what I think they call a PU, which is like
Yeah,
a
I've been
letter
hearing
from
about this.
yeah, it's a letter from the local municipality, like the local government, approving your visit. Like, as like you're a dignitary coming into the country, like, you know
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely getting even, yeah, like you said, you were talking about even pre-COVID, it's for sure, man. Like even we did the cross-border summit in Guangzhou in 2019.
yeah,
That was the fourth. I was hoping to do more since then, but in person. But we had people flying in, and one I don't I don't know. I don't think they would care if I said who, but he almost had to sleep in immigration. He had a late flight at like I think
mm,
he landed like midnight or 1 a.m. I think you know him, but I won't. Uh, he almost basically I feel like he slept in the immigration because they didn't have some person. He didn't have some kind of paper like you're saying, or I think he had to. I tried to tell all the attendees, please print this letter that explains where you're going, why you're going here, like it's an event,
yeah.
this, like in English. And I don't think he
Sort
had
of, sort
this.
of like,
Maybe
and sort of like an invitation letter, and
well,
explaining what your trip is about.
it wasn't really. I want to call it invitation. It was just a generic letter just to explain to the Chinese
What the
immigration
purpose
like
of the trip
why.
was.
Yeah, because they
Yeah,
were getting harder even then, and yeah, he barely slept, but he came to the conference anyway in the morning. I think he slept like 3 hours, 4. He got back like 4 or something in the morning because
yeah,
um, it's just really unfortunate. They're making it this challenging, and that was even before COVID. So now, like, there's WeChat groups and Facebook groups, people stuck like separated from families. Like I'm so lucky, honestly. I mean, I'm stuck here, but I don't know. I would have been with you probably. I guess we could have
yeah,
done this in person, but I would have been with
yeah.
you, like talking about how I can't get to see my wife and kids because of the policies and stuff. And
Well,
I don't know.
I remember that time when we met at I think it was Nikkei, the sushi restaurant, and this was like what, a day or two before you left, and I think you were still debating. Well, you actually weren't planning on leaving China. You were supposed to go to Bohol, right? But I think you were
I
still,
did go. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think you were still debating whether you should go to China right now or wait. And then I remember the discussion. I was like, well, what's the we're like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, well, maybe we won't see my wife and kids for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, we just didn't understand like how bad it was gonna be, right? So
Yeah. I
uh,
mean, I think there was one death that I think we met when there was the first death of COVID in Phil.
yeah,
Maybe I don't want to mess up the stats, but it was just barely kind of becoming serious in the Philippines
yeah,
around mid-March. Yeah.
yeah. So it
Um,
was like one of those things. I guess you made the right decision in the end.
barely made it in. That was like a movie. Seriously. But
How did the whole COVID business pan out for you? Like, in terms of, were you how involved were you with PP? And then I also know you had created like a sort of buying group thing.
yeah.
How was that, like, from a just from a experience standpoint, but also just from like a financial standpoint? Like, how was that?
I think I maybe break even or lost a little bit
Mm,
first of all. It was a project I got stuck in. Everybody started bugging everybody for masks. Remember, it was
yeah,
just
yeah,
nuts.
yeah,
Like everybody was asking for masks. I think it was everybody and I think it was like 10-year-olds in their basement and their mom, were
yeah,
asking for masks online. It was like out of
yeah.
control. Like everybody's asking for masks. And so I haven't, I don't really do,
Yeah, I mean, I just
sourcing or stuff.
the other day I was searching for an old email from a client, and I came
Yeah.
across one inquiry from him where he was like, super confidential request from Seattle, Washington government for 20 million KN95s. Like, don't tell anybody about this.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah,
the
this stuff.
amount of
So
super confidential emails I was getting on a daily basis? It was crazy.
I know. So I focused on the smaller, like you said, like I always had this idea to bundle together small orders that are
Yeah.
all similar and ship, because I like to help small. I always like to help the SMEs. I feel like I was one. I'm even them now. I'm doing another. I can do a couple of my own products right now. We can talk about, but at that time, yeah, I was like, I was also transitioning from the Alpha Rock stuff that had everything went nuts because the warehouse and Amazon started stopping receiving shipments, and then there was restructuring. So that was also, I was reallocating my time, and then the mass was crazy, and I was always want to kind of build this product. I still have the site. I've had it for like 12 years, Load Pipe, and so I basically was just trapped in quarantine and just working on building that site, and made like a B2B extension on WordPress to like consolidate all these small orders under one and then make one shipment. And we did it. I mean, hopefully it saved some lives or prevented the virus. I mean, we sent quite a few, mostly into the US, but we would place like, I can't remember the sizes, but obviously there weren't like millions, but they were like, hundreds of thousands, I think. And, KN95, mostly 3-ply and KN95s. And then the logistics was just, I think was just crushing us. And I lost money on shipping because I didn't want to go back and ask them, all these people, to pay me like 10, 20, 30% more, because I would quote them shipping, and I collected all of it, and then the shipping just jumps, and then I'm like, dude, you just gave me the rate like 3 days ago, and I collected the money and now ship. And he's like, no, it's up like, I don't know. I'm just like, a lot of people were in my, it was like a lot of them were like my friends. Like I worked on Wall Street, and my friend, he ordered like a bunch for him and his family. It was like, and then a lot of our, community bought them from our events and our events and our community, network. So I just was like, I don't really. So, and I also didn't have a huge markup on them, but it was an intense experience, but wasn't like too financially rewarding. And then we were of course trying to catch a couple of these big ones. We didn't catch any of the huge ones. I don't know. There were some jokes. I don't know if you know Mohammed, and he's in Foshan. He's a cool guy, Mo.
Maybe.
Probably if you met him. We were just laughing because he's also deep in the he works in the factory. Actually, he's a foreigner. Anyways,
I think I probably spoke to him about some of these projects.
Yeah, I bet you talked to him. He's pretty active in WeChat groups and stuff. But he says we got to have a nice steak dinner and just laugh about people want to order like 3 billion, like like somebody was like talking in the billions, and then we were just starting to laugh. And then the worst was, here's a story. I don't know if I probably didn't share it in your channel, or I said it a couple times, but so I did a Load Pipe. What I would do is I would make a group on WeChat, or not all WeChat, it's on his email or website, and then we'd say, okay, this week we're raising 50,000 or whatever, 100,000 order for this mask, or one was like a washable mask. People wanted washables. And, I'm collecting like 1,000 pieces. Like what is it? $300 orders, $500 orders, so I would make a WeChat group about the order. One dude jumped into the group, and I was answering questions about the specs of this washable mask. And there's like 10 or 15 people in this WeChat group. And the guy drops a picture of another washable mask and says, I got this, add me for a better price. and then maybe you can say exactly like this. But the worst is, what his nickname was? On WeChat, you can rename somebody.
Yeah.
I rename people when they add me, because he was in my network. I'm not gonna say his name, but his name, Blog Reader Fan. I was like, so I PM'd him, and I'm like, dude, like, what is wrong, man? There's like 15 people that want to buy this mask, and you're like, what, why? Like, I don't want to call you out in the group, but like, everyone was just nuts, right? He's like, so then as I called him out in it, he put it in a few other groups, but I am 99% sure he was covering his butt. And he's like, no, sorry, I was just sharing it in all of the groups. He was just saying like he didn't know what group he was just sharing.
Like he did like a mass.
Yeah. So he said that, and I'm like, all right, man. But that's just not, I don't know. That's what he's just like, oh, it's WeChat. I just, like that. So, but it was just, everyone was just nuts, bro. Everybody was just going freaking nuts, It's just, but yeah, I mean, as far as that, like, you said also the PPE stuff kind of died off. I was going to try to do like my wife's very supportive, she's a businesswoman out of the group. So we try to do like a non-PPE product. But people were like, why are you spamming me, trying to sell me 1,000 of these? I don't want to buy this, So I didn't want to like email everybody on that list, like this week buy this week buy
Yeah,
this globe, next week
yeah,
buy this, it's like kind of spammy, right? Like, so I ran a survey to the list, and people were just like, Mike, because they know a lot of them just knew me. They're like, Mike, you helped some people out, you tried this, but go back to your Amazon, go back to your that's what a few of them, they're just straight up telling me. And I was like collecting some feedback, and yeah, I just said, so it's kind of on ice. I didn't, the site's still there, but it's on a it was always in beta, so I just never took it out of beta. But I still tell people, like, this is part of
I, s- I
business, right?
I
Like,
still think the load pipe idea is a smart one, because like, um do you know about how sort of the Filipino Amazon buyers do, like
I've been
the
hearing
buying
about it.
groups? Yeah,
I think you
yeah, it's
maybe
like all
talked to
these
them
all
too.
these Filipino people that were helping manage or are helping manage people's Amazon businesses. They learn from that process, and then obviously they don't have the capital to purchase large orders by themselves, so they all put money
Yeah,
together
yeah.
and purchase the same
I think,
product.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a proven
Ace and
concept, and
them.
I think it's really smart. Like, it's just one of those things where you have to, somebody just has to organize it, right? Like, somebody has to
Yep,
here they have conferences where they have hundreds of people coming together, and then they all buy the same product and sell it locally or sell it
yeah.
on Amazon, which is cool. I think it's a cool idea.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool, but then also people were telling me, and it was true. Like, it's kind of almost like your competitors are buying the same product. It's like,
Yeah, but
in
the
a
pie is
way.
big enough for everybody, right? Like, that's the point. It's like
Yeah,
you maybe you use that as a jumping off point, and then you get to a stage where you're selling enough that you can just buy by yourself or transition into other products. I think it's like,
true.
well, what's the alternative, especially if you're talking about people that maybe don't have access to capital.
Yep,
Like, what is the alternative for them? Like, they just sit around and wait for somebody to give them $10,000 to place an order. Like, you know
true.
I think you can use it as a jumping off point, and then sort of build up your business from there. But
Yep.
I think the way I would look at that would be, yeah, load pipe could be something that is for startups and people with lower capital that want to purchase goods but can't afford to place a large order, and then yeah. But
It's,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm love, man. Maybe we can do something together. I mean, it's there, it's ready, but I mean, it's cost is a bit upgrade. We did some pretty high customization development on WordPress, but I think the tricky part is, yeah, actually, a lot of people, when they give you the product, they don't know if they really want others to. They don't want to make it too public either. It's
yeah,
depending on the product. So it's
depending
like,
on you.
it's. I do agree. I do feel there. It's on my list of businesses, but it just didn't seem like it fit. Then basically logistics got so expensive at
Hmm.
that time. It still is, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's still ridiculous.
It's still nuts. So the small shipments from Asia
Well,
is
I think
challenging.
the prices have normalized a little bit. Like, it's a little bit more stable. It's still much higher than it was before. And there's always like these random increases. I remember a few months ago it was like 10% more because of whatever, and I was like, okay, like, you can't even really dispute what they're saying. But at least it's normalized in the sense that it's not jumping like what you're talking about, where you quote somebody and then 3 days later it's gone up by 30%. That happened to us a bunch of times, to the point where, after it happened a few times, I told Mike, not you obviously, but I told China Mike, I was like, dude, like, when we quote people, we shipping has to be separate. It just has to be a
Yeah.
separate cost, because some of these larger shipments that we did, um, let's say, like, I don't know, 50,000 mass or 100,000 mass, like, the price difference between what we quoted for shipping versus when we had to actually pay the shipping was so fucking huge that it would have killed our profit margin. So we're just like, yeah, we had to, yeah, we didn't lose money, but we were profitable, but we just didn't make as much because of the shipping. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, it was the difference between you know, making like a pretty big profit versus like, okay, we did really well, enough to kind of, you know, take out some bonuses and pay the staff bonuses and keep us afloat for a little bit over a year. But like, so and then it was like, it was kind of interesting because, you know, you have this opportunity to make a lot of money, right? And then you get excited about it, and then in the end you make a more money than you made probably before, but you're disappointed because you didn't make that much money that you expected, right? So I was actually talking to Mike about that, and I was like, when you really think about it, we should just be super happy about what happened, because you know, it was a difficult situation. It was extremely difficult to manage. I don't know how many people would have been able, how many companies would have been able to do what we did, you know, in that way. Of course, you know, it was frustrating because you had sometimes PPE that we had to send to hospitals, and you know, it's delayed by 3 weeks or, you know, 2 weeks, and you know, these
Yeah,
are frontline workers who are
I
like,
know.
you know, and some of the PPE that we were sending to hospitals were actually donations. It was like a charity
Yeah,
buying it from us and then donating, and it was like, you know, and we're telling them like, look, we shipped it out, but it's like, we can't, like, there's nothing we can do,
I
it's
know.
stuck, you
There
know.
was a
It's
lot
like,
sitting
yeah,
on planes. I remember it was
yeah,
like I felt like it was you would kind of somewhat limited tracking. It's like it's in Shenzhen. Now it's on a plane in Hong Kong airport, sitting there. I'm like, or in a where I'm like, man, is it? Yeah. And then you see those scary pictures online. Did you see those like rooms, huge rooms of just boxes, and there's some of them exploding of masks? You ever see that picture?
I
It
know, I
was
did see
like
those.
that was scary. It was like this huge thing of just masks exploding out of boxes everywhere and like this huge, huge warehouse. Yeah.
Did you hear any horror stories from, I'm sure you must have heard horror stories about people buying stuff that just wasn't what they expected, or you know, being switched out on in terms of masks and or whatever, gloves and stuff.
Um, I have a bad. I had a hometown friend that didn't know I was. I don't know. Didn't ask me. Didn't know, or his no. I think his uncle. They're actually a pretty big business in Connecticut, my
Mm,
hometown or home state, and they got onto this even sooner than I did. I mean, I think because maybe it was in January, and they bought like a container of masks like randomly off Alibaba, just straight up, and it worked. Like the first one was good, so they ordered more, and the second one was, I don't know. I think they got basically scammed. Like I forgot
mm,
what it was, but it. He sent me a picture. I don't want to say it wrong, but they basically got scammed on the second container from the
yeah,
same supplier. Like I
from the same
guess
supplier, like
they
different
didn't maybe didn't
product
expect.
or just quality.
I think it was more of masks and maybe I think they started to add gloves maybe, and I think the new product was just um, total crap. Basically,
Yeah,
said it was just
yeah,
not. They couldn't sell it,
yeah, it's tough.
and it was like container at least one, so I think it's like 20, 30, 40 grand or something like that. I think I can't, I don't know the dollar value, but I'm like, I don't know what I can do for you. Like he forwarded me the email. It was like yeah, South China supplier, I don't, what else, what can I do, man? Yeah,
we
that was
uh
one.
w- we 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 got lucky because one of the things that we started doing was like, we would split shipments, and actually that strategy was good in terms of QC, but it wasn't good in terms of shipping. I kind of wish that we had shipped larger quantities, but we were worried about, you know, those all the discussion about goods being seized in the US,
Yeah, I
right?
remember that.
If
Well,
you
we,
don't
we
have,
did we did one as it broke it up into small.
yeah,
Well, they shipped it bulk and then they would break it. And
yeah.
yeah, but
So
that smashed
we,
some boxes. I forgot about that. People
yeah.
wanted the boxes to be nice. Yeah.
So that was ours. I think I don't know who we were shipping with, but with us it was like we literally just split them up from the factory, and then the factory would send them. Um, so, and there were multiple shipments, and that it was good and bad because, like, again, nothing got seized, but like, you know, we had situations where like half of our shipment left, and then the other stuff was still in the warehouse. But it was one situation where we split up the shipments, and then we sent some to our freight forwarders warehouse, and I don't know why, but we inspected it a second time for some reason. Um, maybe it was like we inspected some of the stuff at the factory, and then we had the factory send some stuff to the warehouse, just because we wanted to speed up the process and inspected the warehouse. This was
Mm-hmm.
something like 30,000 to 40,000 KN95s. And when they opened the box, man, like there was like cigarette butts and
Oh
it was
no.
like cigarette butts in there. Like clearly whoever was packing the masks was smoking. Like some of the masks were burnt because of like ash. It was like it was just one of those things where you go like how is this even possible? Like who does this? Like how why would this person even close this box? Like you know the it was tough, man. But we were lucky because we caught it and then we sent it back, and then they sent us
Yeah.
a replacement which we inspected as well. But that could have been
Okay.
really bad because that was like I think that box was supposed to go to charity, so that would have been one of those things like
Damn.
we might have been on the news in the US.
Damn. Good thing you
But
caught it.
yeah. So moving beyond that, like what have you been up to since? I mean, obviously
Um.
you just did the cross border matchmaker, which I attended, which was cool. That was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the sort of concept to work through air meet, was it, or Airtable?
Yeah. We used AirMeet. I mean, we've been
Air meet, yeah.
studying different online event software. Trying to find out the right thing for. We have also a private membership in the community, and we also do webinars and things. So AirMeet was one we like, and we had never done that large of an online event, but people kept asking to do because we did like you've been to our in-person cross-border summits. We even did cross-border matchmaker in person a couple of years in a row, and the
Mhm.
difference of the matchmaker versus a summit was it's more about connecting and like roundtables and we even did some speed dating in person where there would be rotations every minute or so. So we wanted to try to replicate that online as best we could. And yeah, I mean, it's actually more, I don't want to say more work. It's different kind of work, but it's, online is hard, I think, because it's just not as real. Like in real life, of course you got a plan, but then when you get people there, at least you can see everybody. Everybody sees you.
Yeah,
You
and you
can
you can
say,
direct them, and
yeah.
whereas
But
with
here,
the
like they don't know like technology, internet, but I think people seem to really like it. I hope, and so we have these panels where we had like people like you sharing, and it was meant to be like nuggets and Q&A, and then we had these roundtables after where people could actually talk to people like you and ask some questions and then move around, and we bounced that back and forth, and people really liked it. And we had a few sponsors that supported it, which was great. And then one we're going to try to do it again maybe later this year, looking at
Mhm.
September. We have a dedicated site at crossbordermatchmaker.com, and it'll probably be obviously online events. So I didn't want to make the cross border summit online. I'd rather just wait. I don't know. I've had some of our community begging me not to do it online because they just feel like it would change the brand. Um, we want the brand to be, because people have limit. Everybody's so busy,
Yeah, but then
right?
it's like, how long do you wait? Do you wait 3 years to do another one? You know what I mean? It's like you kind of have to keep it going because the brand can die if you don't wait, if you don't do something right.
I guess it could die, but I mean, we would just use our current other community channels like Global from
Yep.
Asia and our online brands to push the offline, and then kind of do a relaunch. But yeah, of course it might. But we feel like if we say cross border summit online, then next time somebody says cross border summit in person, because you kind of got to differentiate the
The
brand of
difference.
the
Yeah, yeah,
event,
yeah.
because then people only have that 1 second. They see the logo, right? So I didn't want to confuse people to see the logo and think, is that the online one or the offline one? So we just want to keep that one branded to be yearly, or if world's open. So that's why we use a matchmaker brand. So we can be a little bit more flexible and have the online and maybe in person again for like matchmaker, but it's meant to be a like expert sharing, actually gonna try to add booths next time, and roundtables.
How would the boots work?
That has it in AirMeet. We have a pretty premium account, and then there was tabs, so booths could be even going during the sessions. And the way it would work is, services like would could share their could even they don't even have to be there, but of course it's better if there's somebody. But if they're even not even there, it's like a virtual booth. They could have like a recording. They could give some bonuses. They could capture the person's lead information for more information. Of course, it could be online, just like a table. Somebody's from the company's there, and then somebody register comes in, and they can talk multiple people. It's like basically like a table, but it's dedicated for a brand, a company or service.
For a company, yeah, cool. Yeah, I did the round table afterwards. It was interesting. It was interesting just the 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 demographic of people that were there. I was talking to a lot of older sourcing guys or
Nice.
guys who do e-commerce who are like in their 50s. Like, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. He's like, I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that. But I just like the whole concept. It almost felt like a virtual casino in some aspect when you're going from room to room.
Yeah.
But no, I was thinking about it and I was like, I have a PlayStation VR
Oh,
and I
nice.
was like, I could see this being a VR situation in the next, 5 to 10 years
Yeah.
where you just put on your headset and you're walking around this virtual
Seems
conference
like
and
it.
going from room to room and everybody's got an avatar and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like the future, and because COVID's accelerating those, I'm sure they even exist if we dug enough, but I still think it's a little bit early for the VR
Well,
events.
VR is just because not everybody has the set, and it's not as ubiquitous. But I think when it gets to a stage where like it's super affordable, and basically every household or most households have, or businesses feel like it's something that they should have, then
Yeah.
who knows. But yeah, it was interesting to see that. I would, yeah, I'd be interested to do that again, and
Yeah,
maybe even on a smaller scale.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, would love. Yeah, I definitely would love to have you back, or open any feedback or collaboration ideas. Be great, man.
What so besides the sort of cross border matchmaker and
Yeah, I
stuff?
mean,
Yep.
so I'm doing. I tried. Launching a brand, another brand on Amazon with the Thai Factory, but
Mhm.
we got the product. It's my old bar products brand. Well, not brand, but factory, and he wants to go direct on Amazon, and we but the container shipping is just really out of control right now. Expensive, but that's in the works. Hopefully, launching sometime this year. We already got the stuff made, and then I'm doing a product for a router. Doing this. It's a Wi-Fi hotspot router that's got lifetime VPN built in, and it's on a
Nice.
blockchain. So it actually earns token for letting others use your location. So you get lifetime VPN on others, and then you also get paid when others use yours.
Nice.
So that's a yeah, indigenous brand. It's a new one. It's just
How
not
did
even barely
you
launched.
how did you get into that?
I'm going deep into the crypto world. I guess, I mean, I was even involved in Bitcoin. I think even had Gold from Asia podcast in 2013, 2014 about Bitcoin. Um, but now the whole thing of blockchain is going online, decentralized internet. And I love online marketing. So I've been diving deep into decentralized domains, decentralized servers, decentralized computing power, and then I've been networking. Me, I love to network. I even have some content, blogs, videos about this content, and so I'm basically making deals with these and making deals and networking, and yeah.
If somebody wanted to learn more about that, what would you recommend them checking out?
I mean, the product I hope it's not, I thought of the name, indigitus is .com for the product. INDI dig it us. I can send it to you. But as far as the others, I do actually have a YouTube channel called Sky Include, keeping you included in the sky. Sky being the Web3. I have about 50 or 80 videos all about the decentralized internet. So skyinclude.com or my YouTube Sky Include probably be some good ones. I'm trying to make it simple those ways.
Do you keep in touch with any of the EC guys and Alpha Rock guys? Like,
A
just a
little
random
bit.
question. Yeah.
I've been I recently talked to more Alpha Rock guys. I've chatted to a few of them recently. I even they even helped me with some of my stuff. I mentioned on this is our second interview, but with my show we were talking about my stuff. They helped me move some stuff around. And then I talked to Nick. I think his birthday just passed a month or so ago. I chat to him a little bit, on and off. I mean, I think we haven't said on the interview, but it's hard to, it's hard to keep in touch with anybody, because usually I would keep in touch with saying, hey, I'm I don't know about you, but I think you do that to me. Be like, Mike, I'm coming to Shenzhen, or and then we would meet in person when we're traveling, right? Like the EC guys would come to Chiang Mai. I would meet Travis and Nick and them, and then I would, we would all be bouncing around and, just say, hey, you around? And that's how a lot of us would keep in touch with each other. We're traveling and networking and meeting. So but yeah, I mean, I've reached out to them and kept in touch a bit. Yeah, I mean, they're all
it's tough in that aspect, because it's like, if you're gonna when you're physically going places and people are there, you can even meet like 3-4 people at the same time.
Exactly.
Whereas now it'll be like having to set up individual Zoom calls or WhatsApp calls with every single person, and then right now everybody's in different countries, different time zones. It's like it's a little bit tough to manage. And I think just in general, COVID has made, because we're just staying at home a lot and just like kind of being isolated, it's made people a little bit less social.
Yeah.
Right. But
exactly.
I guess just closing questions.
Sure. Let's do it.
Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in China for the next couple of years if the borders open up, or would you be like? And when I say see yourself in China, obviously you'll still be involved in China, but do you see yourself living in China if the borders were to open up in by the end of the year?
I'm trying to probably stay here till the end of the year, and trying to get back to Thailand. Just feel like kind of our life was there. We did start to move around a bit, but it was meant to just be like a half a year. Like, when do you want to spend some time here? I'd be like in the Philippines and China and bouncing around. So the original idea was to do that,
Okay. So if the borders open up, you think you'd be going back to Thailand?
Yeah.
Cool. And what about the business as a whole, besides the products that you're working on?
I'm also I'm brokering some deals, but helping some aggregators consolidate some sellers. But I'm more interested in, I love the startup phase. I showed this router. I mean, I love building new companies. So ideally I'm working on it's nuts, but like a incubator community. Like, I want to have people living around me that are building stuff, and then we're all invested in it together. Like, lots of new products, new services, building stuff. I mean, I'm a builder. I just want to be around people building stuff. So I think post-COVID, people are gonna maybe want to live in I guess BGC is a community, right? Like, you pick BGC because there's a lot of cool things and people around it. So I think people are going to want to live in these groups. But of course there's going to be cities, but I feel like maybe there's going to be these opportunity for sub villages, like groups. It's more maybe we just live in a less populated area with good people around you, that would be my dream. I mean, I've always loved co-working and startups and, community. So I mean, the long-term vision is to have a community of people, entrepreneurs living around you, building stuff, All
right, man. I guess we'll sign off there, man. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks for being back in the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
I've come too far to turn back, so win or win is my only choice. I release songs they think it's for them. It's a cry for help, but they miss the point. What's mad is when I speak for them, I feel like I lose my voice. Yeah. But I can't linger or dwell on things. Yesterday's gone, it's been better since. Still outside and I'm settled in. Still more scared than I ever been. Still feel blessed like I never sinned.